How could the death of the Queen affect the boundaries between English communities around the world?
How could the death of the Queen affect the boundaries between English-speaking communities around the world? Well, I suppose it could go one of two ways. You know, one is that, and this would be a terrible thing, it's such bad timing in some sense, you know, I think, for what happened today to have happened. I'm a great admirer of the constitutional monarchy system. I think there's a wisdom about it, especially the way that your country has managed it, which is more, it's worked better than how any other country's managed it, maybe ever. That's really something. You know, there are obviously monarchical systems, constitutional monarchies still left in Europe, but they're kind of a pale reflection of what you've got in the UK.
Hey everybody, my name is Kyle and this is Kyra Bowlby. This is the That Live Friday Night Show, and we're here to discuss the passing of Queen Elizabeth II. And Kyra, we did this at the last minute. We were going to do something totally different, but what's your thoughts on what happened this past week with the passing of the Queen?
I think she led such an amazing life, and she is someone that has continually inspired me as someone who wants to be a leader in my country. And she just led with so much grace and so much beauty and so much class. And it's really sad to see her go.
Yeah, and you know, we vary in age, and I mentioned this a lot on the channel. There's a pretty big difference here, but I think it's good because it's the economy. Because I was telling you in the chat, I guess we were over in Telegram, that I remember the Queen. The earliest I remember the Queen essentially was the Princess Di wedding, Charles. It was a huge deal. I mean, everyone had it on because back then you only had 4 channels anyway, so you kind of had to watch it. And so, like you, we talk in the back room here. This is the only Queen that you've known of, and for me personally, it's my entire life, you know. And so, I was shocked at how I felt in terms of the emotion to it. And I don't know if it was it me with her, or was it just the fact that my life has changed the way I know it because now you have King Charles, and that whole thing is different. So anytime you have things different, it's a little bit it's just different. So that's kind of my thought. So, from your perspective, do you think it's more of a kind of like me, or do you think it's just something more deeper in terms of the future in Western civilization, how we're going to go forward?
Well, Queen Elizabeth was around for about 30% of American history. And she was also around, I mean, she ruled for 70 years. So it's a huge, sorry, I don't know why people feel the need to yell up the stairwell, but they're yelling up the stairwell. She ruled for like 70 years. So, of course, you know, it's going to be heartbreaking for a lot of people. And it's going to be a shock to a lot of people. I mean, she was a very, very strong woman. She was in pretty good health in her 90s. And then, you know, she just started not feeling well. And I think that was a shock to everybody, even in England. I mean, everyone in England just loves her. Like the children love her. I mean, there are people that grew up with her since birth in England. There are people who just like really looked up to her. I went to England a few years ago, and all of my tour guides just gushed about how much they loved her and how much she meant to them. And it was just, for me personally, it was just such a heartbreaking thing to hear about her passing. So it's going to take a while to kind of, you know, get used to that.
Yeah, it really came as a sudden thing. I mean, I just saw someone say that their family members were being called into, I guess it wasn't in Windsor. It was, I forget where she passed. I have it here. But anyway, they were called to the bedside. And then at that point, within an hour, the announcement had come out. So it was pretty sudden.
Yeah, she passed away in Scotland.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Yeah. So that's, so now we get to see the whole transition. And growing up, I've seen 4 popes in my lifetime. And that's a whole thing. But we never seen the change of a monarchy. And I kind of want to talk about Elizabeth II in terms of a historical figure, because she goes back like 7 years, and you framed it away a third of the U.S. history. That's incredible.
Yeah, so there's actually a picture of Queen Elizabeth in front of Buckingham Palace in a military uniform during World War II. And basically, what she did is she was outside and she was talking to people, and she spent like 4 weeks in 1945, and she joined, I think it was the Auxiliary Territorial Service. So she spent 4 weeks getting her hands covered in oil and grease, and she learned to drive and maintain military vehicles. So when victory was actually declared in Europe and when the war was declared as over, I guess, she was seen in a military uniform, and she was talking to people outside of the Buckingham Palace. So peacetime, I guess, during World War II, it also brought the return of Lieutenant Prince Philip of Greece and Denmark. And so, yeah, it was a pretty big deal. I mean, she's done a lot. She was also the face of peace in her country and throughout Europe, and she represented what it's like to lead a country during war with grace, with talent, with just class. And she also showed a lot of people that women can lead countries and be successful at it, because unfortunately there is a lot of misogyny out there and sexism, where people think that women are weak and we can't lead and be leaders in society. And she really was just a role model to me growing up, because I kind of dealt with a lot of people telling me that politics is not something women should get involved with. And growing up, I felt a little bit of ashamed to be involved in politics, I'm going to be honest, because I felt like I was not being the best Christian that I could be. Because there are a lot of Christians who say that like women shouldn't get involved and women can't be leaders and women can't lead countries. And she really honestly just showed that it is possible and that you can be feminine and you can be a very successful leader, and nothing should hold you back as a female in society. Like, you really can do both. And she had family, and I could go on and on about her and how she has impacted my life and how she has inspired me, because that is something that you have to deal with as a young woman if you're in the legal field and in the political field. And it's not something that a lot of people want to talk about, and I don't like talking about it, but I think as I've gone into my early 20s, I didn't realize how much I had to deal with that. And, during her reign, that was also something that she had to deal with too. And she just took it like a warrior. So she was just such a huge inspiration to me and to other aspiring young female leaders around the world. And, I'm not a feminist at all, and you know this very well, but I feel like there's more to womanhood than just being a mother. And that's what she taught me. And I'm very grateful for that.
Wow, that's a lot. There's a lot to say there. I'm going to see if I can cut through some of that and get to you started out with the historical side of it with, she was someone who came on, people didn't think women could lead. But what's interesting is that she, and people don't get this, she's been there 7 years. Her mentor was Winston Churchill. And prior to Winston Churchill, he was no longer in leadership, but he was still like a statesman. He was still very well respected. And he mentored her for years and was like, she's ready for this. And with Philip, who abdicated, was it Philip? Or
I think so.
Yeah, I think whoever that person abdicated, she came. I got the stuff here. I can bring it up. I should, but I'm not. I'm not that. I don't care enough about the details. But the point is that once she became the ruler, then he was subservient to her. And then he taught her how to be over someone as esteemed as Winston Churchill. So she had to kind of learn that at 24 years old, however she was. And so she had to grow into that role. And like you said, through dignity and the stability of having that there through all these years. And to me, it's what Western society is like exemplifies in terms of what Western society values are. Now, they're not American values, but I'm going to play some clips here from Jordan Peterson of how he sees it. And I find it really fascinating because I hadn't even thought the monarchy like that before.
Yeah.
So in that regard, let me just pull this clip up here from Jordan, and it's about a minute long. And let's just talk about this. I think it's pretty cool what he has to say about it. This is the differences between governments and democracies around the world.
Feel the energy, the electric energy, and I thought, this is not good. This is too much, man. This is too much for anybody to.
By the way, the context here, he's talking about Trump and how Trump was at a rally, and how Trump exemplifies everything, popularity, power, and everything else, and it's all on the one person. He's saying that's too much because it's like too much one person to hold. So he's talking about how democracy kind of spits out those two things.
Bear. And the thing about the monarchy that's so cool, in the United States, there's the judiciary and the legislative branch and the executive, that separation of powers, and the checks and balances that are part and parcel of that. And that's a bright system. And then you also have the states, and they have their power against the federal government, and that stops anything from becoming too tyrannical in principle. But here, and in Canada, although less so in Canada, because we're, modern and trying to.
Because Trudeau's a Marxist.
They dispense with the monarchy. Modern, confused, dim-witted, and untraditional, and casual and careless. And then we have the French-English problem, which makes things more complicated on the monarchical front. You have 4 divisions. You have executive, legislative, judicial, and symbolic.
And he'll get
How
he'll
could
get
the
more into
death
that later.
of the Queen?
I'm sorry. He'll get more into that later. I just want to kind of get some framework there. So let's just take a look at some pictures here. The picture that I put up there before, was that the picture that she was out in front of Buckingham Palace? Because that was 1945. It was after the war. Was that the picture that you were referring to? This guy here.
Yes, that's one of my favorite pictures.
I love that. In fact, it's funny you brought that up because we didn't prep for that. I mean, that's the first picture that I put up when she passed, because I'm the kind of person, I don't like commenting on something breaking within the first 48 hours, just because it's a safe thing. But I put that up there just out of respect. The picture I think it's just an amazing picture. And it's seeing her in a way that you aren't used to seeing her. You're seeing her in the formal guard or some immaculate dress. I mean, this chick could dress. You know what I'm saying? I mean, she held it down. I'm like, but to see her in the military outfit like that, it was really different and stark. So, and then we have this picture here. I bring this one here. I think maybe you posted this, but this is I guess the 4 quadrants of her life, and toward the end, look how young she was at the very beginning there.
Yeah. Have you seen how beautiful she was during her coronation? I was looking at her coronation photos today, and how old was she when she was coronated? She was a few years older than me.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull up Wikipedia here, but I think it was 24, I believe.
Yeah, she was a few years older than me when she started leading.
Let me see if I can find it here.
It was very interesting when she passed because I saw the amount of it was really interesting seeing her progression throughout the years and the stuff that she was wearing. It was so she had such amazing fashion sense, and I didn't even know she was in her 20s when she started ruling, because some queens, they start ruling when they're younger, 18, 15.
Yeah, so she was born in 26 and she started ruling in 52. So what's the math there?
Wow.
Yeah, it's
and look how classy she is in that picture. That picture alone, she's so classy. I love her.
There's one picture of her. She's in a flowery dress. I mean, I wish I could find it again. I mean, it's just
she's stunning. We love her. Love.
And I would be remiss if I didn't mention the TV show, The Crown. Have you got a chance to take a look at that show?
No.
It's actually very good. And the first 3 seasons show her in a very human light, and it's nothing that I think is really detracting. The 4th season, I believe, the family doesn't like it. And it gets into Princess Diana. I haven't seen season 4 yet, but the first 3, you're just pulling for this woman because I mean she has so much people trying to use her and abuse her and this and that, but she just holds fast and she relies on her husband to help her through and just her own instinct. And it's really, really interesting how the influences are and how raising her children and how Charles wants to do his own thing. And it's just a really interesting dichotomy with the royalty family, the royal family has to deal with, and how she held it all together with all these different personalities going on. You know, her sister, you know, being the way she was, and Fergie and all that. And it's a lot to deal with.
Yeah.
So, and also, if I want to draw a little bit of comparison, you talked about she ruled in peace. I think about Elizabeth I because I studied her quite a bit, and that goes way back before Elizabeth II. However, she was they called it the golden age in England because she ruled for England so long. You know, she became the pasty queen. You know, she became the white paste, and she became an image they people almost worship. But that kind of persona scared the living bejeebies out of everybody else, and they want to mess with her. So she reigned for like after she fought. I mean, she fought really well, and when she pulled everything together, and I guess Mary of Scots was taken care of. At that point on, she was pretty much. And so you reminded me that she led for so long. She led longer than the first. And the first one had the golden age of peace in England. So it's a very stark parallel between the two of them.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, people asked me, because a lot of people knew that I like love her. Like, I would talk about her all the time. I just really looked up to her. People would always message me and they're like, how would you describe Queen Elizabeth II in one word? And I would say peace is something that I would kind of frame her as, because she, even during a time of war, you could just see the look on her face. I mean, she just looked calm. Like, you can find pictures of her during her reign during World War II, and it was just amazing to see how she didn't like crack under pressure. I mean, she was amazing. So
yeah, and it was really sad when her husband passed too. I mean, you could tell it's almost as if, you know, once he passed, he would pass like last year, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And so that's interesting. Now I don't know if the show got this right, but he was not a wimp. I mean, he was a man's man, but yet it's weird because if he was an effeminate man, if he was like, you know, a pansy, it would have worked out probably better in a lot of ways because he wouldn't have cared. Like, dude, pamper me. But he had aspirations and he wanted to help her, but she put her country above almost everything, according to this show. And she almost had to, so she sacrificed a lot, but then she still loved her husband. And it was a very challenging thing that she had to do. You have to be extremely strong. And he couldn't handle a lot of that. And there's a controversy that happens in the show that I can't talk about because it would be a spoiler, but you can read the press clippings if it happened or not. And it's just, I mean, it's just a wonderful show to watch. And I think you have a lot more respect for her as a ruler because of what she had to go through and had to deal with.
Yeah, like I said, women can be leaders in society and they can do a great freaking job at it. So
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And in fact, we're going to get to Margaret Thatcher a little bit too, because Margaret Thatcher, I mean, at the time you met Margaret Thatcher and Queen Elizabeth II, I mean, you talk about two strong women, right? And so before I get into that, I'm going to get into another clip from Jordan Peterson. He's going to walk us through this whole thing that a lot of us on this side of the pond don't know anything about. So let me pull this clip up here. It's the second part of this about the monarchy and how it shakes out. This is my third clip.
And the monarch holds the symbolic weight. And that's really smart because it separates it to some degree from the political weight. You know, you see what happens in the United States is, well, first of all, is the president tends to turn into the czar. You know, because they have this idea in the United States now, like first lady. It's like, what the hell is that? We don't have that in Canada. Nobody knows anything about Justin Trudeau's wife. And that's been the history of Canadian politicians. It's like, just because you're Justin Trudeau's wife doesn't mean you're queen. But in the United States, it's like, well, you know, Hillary Clinton, maybe she's queen. And that's partly because there is that demand for the symbolic weight that the leader should manifest.
Let's segue into a comment, because I love this, that Jennifer said this. So she said a couple of quotes here, and I'm going to put it up here. I love what the Queen said about Hillary Clinton, hashtag lock her up.
What did she say about Hillary Clinton?
I think she said that she said lock her up. I don't know. I don't know what she said. I mean, the Queen said a lot of base stuff, dude. I mean, she was a little savage. I mean, I don't know if the press in UK wanted to actually let that stuff get out there, that she was that savage and that she was that matter of fact and domineering in terms of her stances on things. But yeah, I wouldn't put it past her saying that.
Wow.
So I'm gonna look it up though. It was just funny because Jordan Peterson actually mentions Hillary Clinton, and Jennifer put that a little bit before I put it up on the screen. So this was not planned at all. Yeah, Elizabeth. Yeah, absolutely. She's greater than absolutely. So it's funny because I almost forgot what Jordan just said there. But do you have any comments on what he said in terms of the splitting out the democracy from the political side of it, kind of having a dueling side?
I would get you into trouble.
Did you really? Okay, yeah, we're not.
I don't think I should say it because you'll get banned.
Well, we don't want to do that. Well, in fact, my Rumble stream is not rumbling now, so it's not working. So we're only on Facebook and YouTube, so there's no option to go anywhere else for now. Well, so well, let's bring up, before you get into that, let's bring up this here. I need to watch Nate Jacobs' take on Queen Elizabeth. I didn't last night because I was sleepy last night, but I would. I don't know who Nate Jacob is. Can you know who that person is?
I know who that is, yes.
What's his position on things? Is he a conservative or?
He's very conservative. He's very far right.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I've seen a lot of stuff on what's going on. I mean, you know, I don't want to mention it here, but you know, I even saw what's the guy's name? One of the pundits. Anyway, but yeah, so I'm not gonna get into that controversial stuff. The way I see it, you know, that will shake out in time. So, but for now, I mean, we can't deny, number one, that Western culture, she personified that, and that the other side doesn't like what she stood for and would love nothing more than to tear Western society and Western culture down. And she was like a beacon of that, almost like the Twin Towers symbolized capitalism, prosperity in this country. And that was a symbol that, you know, that our haters didn't like at all. So.
Yeah, well, a lot of people just can't understand the fact that Great Britain has done incredible things for civilization. I mean, people can talk about like colonialization, which I'm going to be honest, every country has literally tried conquering other nations. It's just reality. So if we want to get into the specifics of colonialization, something that people need to realize is literally like Native Americans used to conquer other nations in the United States. African nations conquered other African nations. It wasn't just white people going into minority groups' countries and taking stuff from them. I mean, Alexander the Great literally conquered everywhere. Like, it was Alexander the Great, and then it was the Spartans, and then like we could get more into detail with like the Vikings and all of that. Like, I'm a massive history buff, so when people try and complain to me about colonialization and how Queen Elizabeth was a colonialist and how she's like Great Britain is an evil nation, no, like they have done incredible things for Western civilization. I mean, their country has shaped Western civilization. And like, if you want to even get into the specifics of like slavery, Africans literally enslave other Africans in Africa. Human beings do horrible things to each other. Even human beings that look similar to one another, if it's like Africans, they have done terrible things to Africans. Literally, like African tribes Some of them literally ate each other back in ancient times. So it's like people just can't admit the fact that Queen Elizabeth is a human being. So she's made mistakes. She's done bad things like every human being on the planet. People tend to forget that leaders are human beings too. But I think one thing that people were doing is because she's such a strong leader for Great Britain, people tore her apart and they were like, oh, well, you know, she did this. Or like there was a picture of her sitting on a bench and then someone found a picture of Jeffrey Epstein like sitting on the same bench.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not defending her and I'm not defending Jeffrey Epstein. I'm just trying to say that like leaders aren't perfect. And people just need to understand the fact that Great Britain has done great things for civilization and they've done terrible things for civilization. But literally, like, there's no country in the world that is perfect. So.
Yeah, it's absolutely correct. In fact, let me bring up this thing real quick. I'm gonna plug one of my videos. This one here in the center says, "What the Woman King movie probably won't tell you." Check out that video because it talks exactly what you're talking about, Kyra. It talks about how Africans sold other Africans, and it's not just you know my word for it. It's a firsthand testimony of a guy who was captured at 10 years old and taken into slaves by these African women of the Dahomey tribe, and he documents it. It's documented firsthand account by Laura Hurston, the woman who wrote "My Eyes Are on God," I believe that's what it's called. Anyway, and it's a firsthand account, and it's so it's like, and the level of it was crazy high. And in fact, I'm going to jump.
Go ahead, and then conservatives, they want to go after the Queen for hanging around Jeffrey Epstein. Meanwhile, Trump literally did the same thing.
Yeah.
There are pictures of Trump hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein, but no conservative wants to talk about that.
Well, one thing Trump did do was once he found out that he was a creep, he did ban him from Mar-a-Lago. So he did take action. But I mean, when you're that high up, you have a small circle. I have some people that I'm not even going to mention here that I've had tongue with that I didn't realize were bad people. So I'm glad this one person in particular who's in prison right now, I did not take a picture with this person because I didn't know what this person was about. You know, because I'm a leader of an organization, a multi-million-dollar organization, civic organization in where I'm at. So people come to you all the time, ask for stuff, whatever. And it's like, you know, I'm not excusing anything, but you put it in the right framework in terms of we're human, we make mistakes. But they want to just paint one side of the story. That's my problem. If you're going to tell history, tell the whole history and don't exclude the Africans involved in the slave trade. Don't involve other people involved in the slave trade.
And before you try and cancel history, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but before you try and cancel history, understand the history that you're canceling. That's what I try to say to people. And it's like, and then people try and tell me to shut up all the time. Like, you can talk about whatever you want to talk about, but I can't talk about what I want to talk about. No, you can dismiss me with that. I'll say whatever the hell I want to say. Sorry.
Yeah. In fact, you also mentioned the Philippines there as well. Yeah. And you also mentioned the Native Americans. That's a big one. It's blacks and Native Americans. That's the big thing here in America, you know, and the noble savage, the so-called noble savage. And I'm not trying to knock anybody, but it's the human condition. It's a sinful state. If you're a human being, you're going to commit bad things, period, no matter what you are.
Yeah, the Bible literally talks about that too. Like the Bible literally says that human beings are not naturally good people. Like we're going to commit bad acts against each other.
Precisely. In fact, if you go back and look at I think I mentioned this before. Ken Burns, a liberal, by the way, did a documentary back in the 90s called The West. In the first episode of it, within the first 30, 40 minutes, you have a Native American historian talking about her people and saying, oh, yeah, we enslaved other Indians, other Native Americans. And you can go on websites to see this whole tribes that are trying to raise awareness for their people being enslaved in slavery, in bondage by other Native Americans way before a white man hit the deck. So tell the whole history. That way we can say, you know what, maybe we were all jacked up and maybe we all can get along. Maybe we can all learn from this stuff instead of pointing the finger at somebody as a weapon and say, hey, you know, you're this. And it's like it's totally for power and for money.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. I get so tired of people who like go after the Queen all the time or like Great Britain. And I'm like, dude, Great Britain was not the only country that had slaves. Like African countries had slaves too. Mongolians, I think Mongolians had slaves. The Greeks had slaves.
Yeah, let me pull something up here real quick. I mean, I'm gonna leave this on the here. You guys can screen print it for yourself. I'm not gonna read it, but just go back and look at it later. But he just highlights there. I didn't fact check any of that, but it sounds about right. About slaves selling other slaves and the other country, other Muslims, and being involved in up to 70% of the slave trade, which I don't know if that's accurate, but it's a mess. So and let me bring this up here real quickly before I get on to the new subject, because Jordan Peterson actually talks about the slave trade and England's actions actually to prevent it. So this is a really good take here from him.
Accomplishment. And I see in England and Europe, but in England too, in Great Britain, such apprehension about that, such refusal to note the greatness of your country and its contributions. I mean, no one in the United States ever talks about the fact that the UK was the country that eradicated slavery. Like that only happened once in the whole history of the human race. And your country did it. It took 175 years. And a huge economic. Yeah.
This goes on for a bit longer. It goes on for about another maybe 45 seconds.
No, it was your country and the great people who were spearheading that movement at the time that established once and for all on the political and economic front that was not to be tolerated. And then, it took a while for that idea to spread everywhere. It still hasn't, because there's plenty of slaves in the world. The estimate's 30 million at the moment, by the way. But there are very few people who will come out forthrightly and say that it's right, that it's okay, that, might makes right. And your country was definitely one of the moral forces in the world, the primary moral force on the political front, who established once and for all that was no longer acceptable. And
yeah, so what are your thoughts on that clip there?
I think, I don't know. I agree with what he says about the slave trade. I thought that was very interesting. Well, what
was I going to say? Well, I was going to talk about. Well, let's talk about this thing. He talks about Exodus and slaves. Yeah, I mean, the Bible. What the Bible does, and it shows all the pimps and warts and pimples of humans, and it doesn't hide from it. It shows you everything. I mean, every sin that you can think of is in there in some shape, form, or fashion, in all of its disgusting glory. So yeah, you raised a good point there, Jennifer. But yeah, I remember what I was going to say. So there's a film called Amazing Grace. It came out a few years back. I watched it within the past year. And it's about the slave trade being abolished in England and the effort that it took. I
saw that too.
You saw it?
Yeah.
Isn't it great?
It was so great. And you want to know who was fighting against the slave trade? A white guy.
Yeah, or exactly. And he fought hard too. He fought so hard and for so long. And it got to the point where they thought it was going to actually it failed, but they caught a break there at the end. I forget exactly what happened, where it just fell in their laps and they abolished it. So, and of course, America, we fought a war to end slavery. So, I mean, white people have done some things that are bad, but they've done a lot of things that are great. And especially abolishing slavery in those two countries. And the slave trade was really, really huge. And not to mention, according to that one guy in that clip, said that after abolition, they went after and found 1,600 slave ships and freed the slaves because they were being, smuggled, unlike half the countries around the world today where slavery is legal.
Yep.
So anyway, I think we kind of hit that one pretty hard. So, but so in terms of going forward, so, I was going to have Ethan come on. He's in the UK. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to make it on because right now it's about 6:11 in the morning. He's probably just getting up. So if he is getting up, maybe he'll jump on. But he mentioned to me in my discussion with him that he thinks that the monarchy is not going to make it, and that they're going to actually be disbanded. And Jordan Peterson, in a clip here, he says the same thing. But what are your thoughts of that? Do you think? First, let me your inkling. If you say that the monarchy goes away and they do something else, what's your first notion about that? What's your first thought about that?
Well, I think there's something that the United States can kind of learn from a monarchy constitutional system. And I think like one of the biggest realizations that I had to come to this year is the democracy question. And is democracy actually a good system of government? Is it actually beneficial for American citizens to live in a democracy? And there's like I made a reel about it on Instagram that people can go and watch, but there's a huge misconception about the term freedom that a lot of people don't get. So for one, people need to understand that just because you can do whatever you want doesn't mean that you should, which is something that I like about a constitutional monarchy, is it really tries to hold people accountable for the degeneracy or the immorality that they're committing in society. I mean, do I think that the monarchy is going to survive? You know, that's kind of hard to explain. I don't know. I think honestly, it's just hard to tell right now. But at the end of the day, we don't know. And sometimes it's okay to say, I don't know. I don't live in Great Britain, so I don't really I don't know the full capacity of like the day-to-day life in Great Britain. Maybe it's just not a system that works anymore.
Right.
So it's like, I mean, there are some parts of democracy that I feel like don't work in society anymore as we start going more towards 2023 and 2024. I mean, a lot of politicians in America and in the UK have forgotten that they work for their citizens.
Yep.
And they kind of just they bend a knee and they commit all of these awful, corrupt things in government. And democracy just covers that up and allows that to happen. Same thing with a constitutional monarchy. People get away with corrupt things. So yeah, I think it's hard to tell right now what that looks like, but I think that fosters a conversation for incoming years of whether or not these are systems that work and these are systems that survive. And I think as we continue to go through society, we can come to the conclusion of maybe there are things that need to be improved in Great Britain. I'm not British, you're not British, so like we don't know day-to-day life. We don't know stuff. I mean, I try and keep up with like British politics and what goes on in the Parliament and House of Commons, but like I'm more concerned about what's happening in my country, like, you know? So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, and I think you nailed it. I mean, Benjamin Franklin, I'm not sure if this is attributed to him, but it's obviously attributed to him at some point. But I'm not sure you actually said it or not. But, you know, the quote where he says, Miss Sir, after the Constitution was ratified or after they signed it, whatever, they asked him, what kind of government did you give us? He said, I gave you a republic if you can keep it. And we've long passed the republic, constitutional republic. Now we're into more of a democracy, which is basically mob rule. And so I like the point you mentioned about the democracy dealing with the moral decay and how it keeps people accountable. That's what the republic is supposed to do. And so when you get out of that, when you stop being good, then you have what happens with like the George Floyd thing, the Summer of Love, all that kind of stuff. And you have a two-tier system of justice, which we're seeing right now. So I'm going to play this clip here before I forget. This is what Jordan Peterson has to say about the future of democracy and if it's going to last or not.
To go on a regular basis to this remarkable person who'd seen this immense span of political history and confess in some real sense, right? And to be subject to her cautious and wise judgment, because I think she was a woman who was traditional and cautious and wise in the highest degree. And there were scandals in her family, but like you have a family, if people knew what your family was doing, don't you think there'd be scandals? And so,
By the way, his shoes are pretty awesome. Just to say, those shoes are.
but she was remarkably free of scandals over that entire period, and that's a hell of a thing to manage for 70 years. And so, well, so what will happen now? Well, the most likely thing is that your monarchy will disintegrate like most of the other ones have. I'm not saying that will happen. I'm certainly not saying I want it to happen. But because that sort of thing is so hard to maintain, especially in the modern world, and because you need someone so remarkable to manage it, the probability that you'll get another one is relatively low. And so I wish your new king the best, that's for sure.
It's kind of bleak there. What's your thoughts? It's kind of what you just said, though, isn't it? I mean, is it still working for today?
I don't think it is.
Yeah.
One of the most controversial opinions that I could get banned from certain organizations for saying, but
yeah,
you really have to look into democracy. And I mean, 2020, we were supposed to live in a republic where the people would have a voice. And one of the biggest things that I think woke me up, and 2020 gave a lot of people 2020 vision. It taught us how strip clubs and degenerate things are deemed as essential business. But the thing that's not essential, according to the United States government, and we can have a different conversation on church and state. I have a different conversation on church. I have a different opinion on the separation of church and state now. But one thing that people need to understand is people thought that these degenerate things, such as strip clubs being open and all of this other stuff being open, meanwhile, church is deemed as non-essential by the United States government, when church absolutely is essential. So is that something that you think the founding fathers would like or appreciate, that our public officials at the national and state, local levels would pass into law? Do you think that's something they would support? Because our founding fathers were very religious. We can have a different conversation about different denominations. For me, I'm the type of person where it's like Bible, I'm a Christ follower, that's it. I don't like talking about denomination. But, a lot of people bring up the denominations of the founding fathers, and it keeps getting passed around what the founding fathers believed in. I was also told recently that George Washington had a painting of Mary, or a sculpture of Mary, in his house. I was told that he was Catholic. When growing up, I was taught that he was non-denominational. So, is democracy something that is working right now? That's a conversation. And that's something that I want everyone watching this to think about. Is it working? Is it actually getting us to progress as a society? Or are we progressing a little too much? And are we forgetting about these traditional values that we were founded upon as a nation? That's something that people need to think about.
I love it. I think it's a fantastic take. I think we could almost end the discussion on that, because I don't think we can really extrapolate much more than that, because I think you did a fantastic job there. Because I mean the whole thing, that's why for the first time ever I actually commented on a comment while I'm actually in stream for you. That was great. Because that whole thing with the strip clubs and the liquor stores and everything, in contrast to the churches being open, that just tells you everything right there. It really does. And you're right. Once you separate ourselves from the moral fabric of our society, then anything is possible. And I think democracy is mob rule. We can't have democracy. I mean, it can't work. It can't work in its truest sense.
And
it just can't.
Democracy also fosters in a little too much compassion and kindness and diversity, which diversity... Another question I want to ask people, I'm not going to get too much into it, because if I say this, you're going to get banned. Is diversity and multiculturalism actually a good thing in different countries? Look at what's happening in London. Look at what's happening in Paris. Look at what's happening in Cologne, Germany. Influx of migrants coming in, destroying the country. Do you think that's a good thing or a bad thing? Do you think multiculturalism is good? Because also, democracy funnels in way too much compassion towards the majority when we are also allowing anyone to come across the border and vote. We are also allowing anyone to come into the country, and some people have been found to be on the terrorist list. And we don't know what's going on with them. We have open borders here in America where if you look at the borders along the southern border, you'll see that there's like openings in the southern border. So it's a conversation that people need to have. Democracy is way too compassionate and kind when we need strong leaders. I don't want the president of the United States or my congressman or senator to be best friends and fist bumping every single citizen that they see. We need people to make decisions on behalf of the people. And also, don't even get me started on all the stupid people that we have voting in our country. The reason why we have the Electoral College in the first place is because the founding fathers didn't have a stable idea that American citizens would make good decisions, that the majority in huge cities around the country would make good decisions and vote well. People vote using their feelings now, and that's unfortunate. So democracy, it funnels in too much compassion, too much freedom. Having too much freedom in a society is not good for the benefit of people. You need to also keep a society morally in check. And has democracy been doing that over these past few years, from 2020 to 2022? That's a question you need to ask yourself. And a lot of people have been kicked off of social media for saying what I'm saying. I mean, they've said it in a more like very blunt way that gets them kicked off social media, but like these are things that get you kicked out of social media. The stuff that I'm asking. And you should be able to ask questions, especially about democracy and about constitutional monarchies. The reason why I like constitutional monarchies, like I said before, keeps morality in check. Yeah, and the monarch is actually the head of the Church of England.
Yeah, I didn't even know that. I mean, because the whole thing about the whole British, again, I'm a noob. I don't know much about it, and quite frankly, I didn't care to know. But I think I find it fascinating. Especially, I want to dig in more now what you're telling me, because before I'm just like, that's them, that's us. That's the redcoats and we're the Americans, and growing up, redcoats were the bad guys, we're the good guys. And of course, World War II, we became friends, but that's about as much as I knew. And I didn't know much about the monarchy as it relates to the parliament. Yeah, Tony Blair and him doing this thing. That was some cool clips to watch, but that was about the extent of it. And so, and so for me, watching shows like The Crown really, to me, is cool because I get to see, wow, this is a big deal, and that she does wield some power, but yet at the same time, it's not total power, but she is trying to. I give you a perfect example. There's a scene that happened, and I'm just kind of a spoiler, but it's a historical event. So if you know British history, you won't really care. There was an explosion that killed, or is it either a volcano or something that killed a whole town of people, and many children died. It's a huge tragedy, and the Queen decided initially not to react, not to respond, and hands off. It was her big first tragedy or challenge, and they reamed her for it for not showing compassion. But she was trying her best to be this pillar, of stability and not to be involved at that level. But she realized at the end, maybe I do need to be involved. So she actually showed up there and made her presence there. And she was able to change based on the compassion and needs of the people, because they saw her in a way that was outside of the parliament, but more compassion and, like you said, moral base.
Yep.
So, all right. Well, I mean, I don't want to go too much longer here. It's pretty. Let me just talk real quickly, a little off subject here. I think we did a good job with Queen Elizabeth II. What are you doing now with your life? Because right now you look like you say you're in a stairwell.
There's a stairwell on this side.
Oh, I see.
So people keep kind of coming up.
So
I'm in college right now, so I'm going to a private Christian university, and I'm working on getting a degree in political science and pre-law. And then I want to go off to law school, and I'm not sure what I want to do after that. I'm trying to figure things out. Okay.
well, at that point, anything you want.
I don't know, because like I keep going back and forth on like running for office, because a lot of people want me to run for office, but also like I don't know. I mean, I don't want to run for office. I don't want to have kids, get married, have kids, and then run for office when my children are super young. And that's like, I think if my country needed me to, I would run for office. But also like lately I've been kind of dealing with some crap from some conservatives about being a woman in politics and all this stuff. And honestly, like I want to focus on being a good mom. And it's like, if my country needs me, I'll run for office. But it's like, I don't know, lately I've been kind of having people tell me that like, women shouldn't have a presence on social media. They shouldn't be on social media. Women shouldn't be involved in politics. Women don't have a place in politics, and they shouldn't be heads of state and all this stuff. And it's like, I don't know, like I'll figure it out. But I care about my country, and I care about the opinion of God. I don't care what random people on the internet think of me. I really don't. Like, if people think I'm this girl boss, whatever. Like, it's not my like, your opinion of me is not my responsibility. But it's like, I don't know. I think for me too, it's because I was having a conversation with my dad about this, because someone came up to me at school today and told me, he was like, you want to go into politics, but you're a woman? You shouldn't do that. You should just focus on being a good mom and having children. And I'm like, hate to break it to you, bud, but politics affects women just as much as it affects men. So, sorry.
Yeah, that's you have your choice to do whatever you want to do.
Yeah, I mean, I have the choice, but does that mean I should, do it? Like, I always speak out against like girl boss culture, but am I trying to be a girl boss? I don't really think so.
That's a term I'm not really familiar with. My son told me, he's 6, that some kid in his jiu-jitsu class was basically telling him that he's a boss, and so that's a term. There's a term say that's boss, but what does a boss mean? Does that mean that you're trying to be? I don't know. What's that mean?
It means you're trying to like be a CEO or be powerful or all of this stuff. And gotcha. I don't know, because like, it's just something that I've been struggling with lately, where I've been like, is what I'm doing going against everything that I believe in? Like, am I acting like a feminist on social media? Like, there are questions that I've just been kind of like asking myself recently. But also, politics affects everyone. It affects women, it affects children, and it affects men. And I think that if I want to be a leader and step up and stand up for my children, I feel like there's more to womanhood and being a woman than just staying at home all day and being in the kitchen. Like, there's more that I want to fulfill in my life, and I don't just want to like have people speak at my funeral about certain things. Like, I want to make an impact on society and on the world. Like, and I don't understand what being a woman has to do with that,
Right.
So.
Well, yeah, well, you'll figure those questions out. I mean, those are tough questions, and what's happening is you are being true to yourself. And well, I hate that term, but you're looking through it from this logical perspective and trying to be fair on either side of it. And I've been to the same thing, theologically speaking, in terms of some theological positions I wasn't sure about. And I'm still kind of struggling with some of those theological issues, but I'm always questioning myself to make sure that, am I really doing this for me? And it's like that thing that, Ananias and Sapphira in the Bible, when they had the coins and they want to show everybody they're doing it. Am I really doing it for me? Am I really doing it for God's glory? Should I pray it open, or should I pray in the closet? Because if I pray, out in the open, then I'm glorifying myself more or less. But in the closet, you know. So that's where I struggle. And so it sounds like to you, you're something the same way. It's like, you know, you understand both positions. But here's the problem with you, Kyra, is the fact that you're going to be so capable to do that higher calling of political because you have the ability, the training, the knowledge, the smarts. Only a few people can do that really effectively, I think. And so because you're qualified to do it, it makes your job that much more difficult. So your decision's not going to be easy.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I guess I just don't get why women should not be involved. Like, if you love thy neighbor and you want to be the best mother possible, don't you want your children to live in a country where they can prosper and be safe and not have all this crap going on? I haven't seen a lot of men trying to fix the issues that children are dealing with in Congress or the Senate.
Not
I
at all.
didn't see, I mean, we had a Republican majority in Congress of a bunch of men trying to say that social media censorship was so horrible. Meanwhile, they were just passing tax cuts in Congress. So it's like, and then other people try and tell me, or like when I speak up for children, you know, I get comments from people and they're like, oh, well, I don't see you with a family. Maybe people don't realize that it's not easy for me to get married right now because I'm not in that situation in my life where I can get married. Or maybe people don't realize that God, you know, maybe God gave me the purpose to be in politics and speak up for what I believe in. I mean, Esther didn't want to get involved. She got involved.
Yep.
So it's something that people need to like, and you know, those are questions that everyone should ask themselves. But it's a little frustrating when I hear it all the time from people who are like, oh, well, you know, the best thing to do as a woman is just be a mom. And like, I wasn't raised by a mom who did that. My mom raised me differently, and that's fine. I don't know. I guess I'm just trying to make sure that I'm not being like a hypocritical Christian. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Right. Exactly.
it's just like those are questions that you have to ask yourself, which is why, you know, Queen Elizabeth passing away also brought up many questions in my life too. And I had a conversation with my dad today about that because I had a boy confront me in the cafeteria with a friend of mine who's also a female and a politics major. And we had to have a very interesting conversation with him. And it was just, it was great because I got to talk to my dad and he gave me a lot of reassurance. But, you know, we've progressed as a society where it's not just men that are in charge and it's not just men that should be in charge, you know, like we've progressed and some of that progression has been bad overall for society, but some of that progression has also been good. And it's like, or the other thing that really annoys me is when people say that women shouldn't be involved in politics, but then they say that there's like certain exceptions to women being involved. Like, and that drives me nuts too, because it's like you're either for women getting involved or you're not for it at all. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, and it's
Exactly.
like, and then they say that mothers shouldn't be involved in politics. And I'm like, dude, like you literally support, like a lot of conservatives say this, like more of the traditional Christian men say this. I don't have an issue with men. Like I love men, but then they make it an issue about motherhood. And they're like, oh, mothers shouldn't be in politics. And I'm like, dude, you literally support Marjorie Taylor Greene, who's a mother. Like that doesn't make any sense. And then you share like videos from her show of her talking about children. And you're like, oh, like Marjorie Taylor Greene's so great, which she is. Like I'm not saying she isn't, but it's like you're gonna tell me that I shouldn't get involved because I'm not married and I don't have kids, but then she's off limits because she's based and but at the same time she's a mother. She's everything that you're against about women being in politics, but if it's Marjorie Taylor Greene, you know, whatever. It's like there are a lot of hypocritical people in this movement that don't understand what they're talking about, and it's frustrating.
And I'm not saying this guy qualifies, but he could have just been, he just liked you and he identifies, I want a woman that's this way. And if he likes you, he doesn't want, I'm not saying this is this person, but in the future, there could be a guy that would be that way. I want you to be this way because that's the kind of woman that I'm looking for.
Mm-hmm. I don't know.
I mean, I'm a guy. I mean, I'm a guy, so I kind of know how we are in terms of when it comes to pretty women.
I feel like sometimes women need to lead. I mean, Esther she was called into politics. She was called to serve and stand up for her people. But, same thing with the judges.
Deborah, hello. Yeah, exactly. Right.
I'm very conflicted with that. But at the same time, it's like, I know plenty of women that do great jobs at being great moms, and they stay home with the kids and they work from home and they do a fantastic job. And also, people talk about stay-at-home moms all the time when when there's high numbers of men right now who are staying at home more with the kids than women are. So it's like, if you're going to say that about women and tell us that we should just fit into this certain box and this certain role, then what are you doing? Like, are you being a good leader? Because you staying at home with the kids as a stay-at-home dad, and you're telling women to do that, but you're not going out and providing for your family, but you're telling me what to do. It's just very conflicting. And it's something that I've had to kind of sort of deal with as I'm kind of moving into my 20s. And it's just very frustrating.
Yeah. Getting older is not easy. And I'm gonna put back up what Jennifer said here. I think she just said, "Let go, let God," I believe. If I can find it. But I mean, those are the decisions that you're gonna figure out. And I like the fact that you're asking those questions because it just means you're genuine. You want to do the right thing, and God will lead you. It's gonna fall right in your lap once you let that happen. So, there's no easy answer for that at all. I know for my fact, my wife. Well, I'll just go ahead and say it right now. We were at a meeting to see Ted Budd, who's running for U.S. Senate in North Carolina. He's probably going to win. And but Trump endorsed him, but we weren't too sure if this guy is going to be like, because we've had a bad experience with North Carolina senators in terms of being rhinos. And so we're like, okay, are you going to be another one of those guys? So she basically grilled the guy. Just grilled him question after question after question. So the point is that she is a stay-at-home mom. She does things as well, but she actively is involved in many, many things with pro-life movement, to what she did today, to being involved with the school choice, dealing with going to the almost getting arrested during the height of this whole crap going on a year ago with the at school boards, that kind of thing. She got threatened to be arrested because she showed up there without a mask. So, she's a warrior, dude. And I'm like, don't mess with my wife. So, but I think that can be a role that someone like you could fit in easily because she does it. She doesn't care. She just does it. So it's not easy, but she does it. And I help her out as best I can.
Yeah. It's just rough, like you're trying to be genuine and you're trying to understand what people are saying. But at the same time, it's like, my dad kind of explained this to me in a way that's like, I understood. And he was like, if you feel called into it by God, because I had a conversation with my pastor recently about what he thought my calling was from God. And we had a conversation. My dad said, if you feel called into this from God, it is not anyone's right to try and convince you out of God's calling. If God has called you into this position for such a time as this, then other people's opinions don't matter. And if you call yourself a Christian, stop trying to convince people out of their callings and out of the purpose that comes from the Lord. People don't know that God called me into politics. People don't know that. They just assume that I'm in it for the wrong reasons, which
you're a grifter.
I'm not. Yeah, and people say that all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was just I had a very interesting conversation I had a really cool conversation with one of my Lyft drivers yesterday. And I talked to the Lyft driver a little bit, who was a Christian. And they put a message on my heart, and then I talked to my pastor a few days ago, and he said something that almost just like brought me to tears, because it just felt like that was something that I needed someone to say to me. And it meant a lot that he took the time to, like, he understood what my calling was. And he knew exactly what it was. And he made like the most beautiful analogy. Like, I post about it on Facebook. Like, I can share it if you want me to, but it was just like, it really
Yeah,
honestly
sure.
made my day. So, yeah.
Wow, that sounds like really, really sound and solid advice. Yeah, if God calls you into it, that's a wrap.
Yeah.
So, wow. Well, cool. Ending on a somber note, but I mean, I think that's going to help a lot of people, because I think sharing these feelings with yourself, with myself, and yourself, and people who are watching this and who will be watching this, it'll help them out, because, like I said, I have that whole problem with conflict. I'm always changing my opinions. Well, not so much anymore, but early on, I mean, I was way out there. Just ridiculous, and constantly seeing things that doesn't make sense, and it's scary. But either you flee or what's it? Either you flee or you fight. And most of the time I fought it, but then I actually ended up embracing it or adopting a new worldview that ties in with the Bible, which I think that's what people are missing. They miss the whole worldview of a biblical creation and of us having a sinful nature and needing a redeemer, and then going out there and trying to glorify him. I mean, that's really what the purpose is. But when you don't have that perspective, then you're lost in all kind of stuff. And for me, it sounds like to you, for me, it sounds like you are asking the right questions in the right framework, and just a matter of time before God gives you that definitive answer. It's going to fall in your lap. It's going to make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. It was an interesting conversation that I had with my pastor, because it was something that I needed to have that conversation with a more mature Christian, not just like a random Christian on the internet trying to tell me what to do with my life. Because frankly, like, I don't care what people think. I care more about what God thinks, And I felt like there's been a huge period in my life where I've cared way too much about what random people think of me that don't have any influence in my life. And they make it seem like they have influence, but they don't. And they try to tell me what I should do with my life and what my purpose is. And I think that's like one of the most disgusting things that a Christian can do to another Christian, is try and talk that Christian out of what their purpose from God is, if that makes sense. Because there was a period in my life where I felt like I was in the wilderness and I was not hearing from God, and I didn't know, a lot of stuff. And it was rough. It was not easy. And a lot of people in my life, on social media and in general, have tried to convince me to do other things with my life. And it's just like, it's very frustrating, because honestly, and my dad said this to me today too, because we were talking, he said that we're progressing as a society, whether people like to admit it or not. And my whole goal is not to be a girl boss. Like, I'm not here for that. I'm not trying to be a girl boss. I'm not trying to be a feminist or anything like that. I'm not trying to like be someone that I'm strongly against, if that makes sense. But sometimes, and my pastor basically told me, he was like, I think I know what your purpose from God is. And I was like, really? And he said, yeah. I mean, there was, he kept getting a word put on his heart about me. And the word that he kept hearing was truth, truth, truth. So he told me, he said, I think your purpose from the Lord is you poke holes. When you speak truth, you poke holes in people that are made of air, because there's nothing in there.
yeah.
And the Lord is using you as a pin needle to poke holes in people that are just made of air, because there's nothing there. And you're trying to poke holes in the narrative and in propaganda. And he said, that I feel like is your calling from God. And if anyone tries to convince you out of that calling, shame on them, is what he told me. And then he was like, you need to focus on wrapping yourself in the full armor of God, reading your Bible, getting into scripture, and not worrying about what random people have to say about you. Because he told me specifically, he was like, one piece of advice I can give you as a daughter in Christ is, if this man is not your husband, your boyfriend, your pastor, their opinion doesn't matter. So that was very like uplifting. And it's like, you know, I just keep asking myself these questions because I want to be the best Christian and disciple I can be. But I also don't want to be hypocritical in what I'm doing.
Exactly. 100%.
That's all I'm trying to do. You know what I mean?
I love
So,
it.
but it is sad that we live in a society where people are constantly trying to tell other people what they should do with their lives, which is why we have such a bad, you know, mental health issue in our country. Because everyone's trying to tell other people what to do with their lives, but they're not taking the time to analyze how they're living their life. And it's just like, I don't know. I feel like people care way too much about what they think of them. And I used to be like that for many years. I used to care way too much. And I'm still working on it. But I feel like I'm kind of in a phase in my life where I'm like walking out of the wilderness with the Lord, and I'm trying to just figure out what his path for me is. Not what other people's path is for me, but what his path is for me. And, you know, every time I try and talk to him about this kind of stuff, like the Lord just always keeps pushing me and encouraging me to continue speaking out. So, I mean, if God is telling me, you know, speak out and speak up for what you believe in, then why should I care what random people have to say, you know? So it's just something that I've been asking myself a lot lately. So.
Those are great questions. Do you see Jennifer's? I don't want to put it on the screen. Do you see Jennifer's note to you? If not, I'll send it to you later. Anyway, so let me just say this here. Now, I never met you, but I think you've been doing this for a couple of years, maybe. And I can just see, you know, as a father who has a daughter about your age, just about. And I can just see the development in you, you know, from the very beginning to now. And I can see the growth. And the pastor said to you about your spiritual gift or your calling. I think he's onto something, if not square on, because I think you do have that ability. And I think it's one of the reasons why you were under such persecution. And if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, she can tell you about it later or tell you about it in other videos we've done. But persecution, intense persecution that you've gone through because of that. And we're supposed to be salt, right? We're supposed to be that bitterness that, you know, really cuts through the chase. And I think you're really good at that. I mean, you say things that challenge me constantly. And so I think that's good because it helps me to recheck, reevaluate. And if it affects me, and we pretty much see eye to eye on just about everything, it must really gnaw at someone who doesn't, you know what I mean? And so, and especially someone who's insecure and doesn't have it not established. So yeah. And so that's why they would talk you out of it. So yeah, I think that's great advice. This pastor, he seems to be really beneficial and a blessing for you to have that kind of mentorship. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, you know, if you need anything, whatever, reach out to my wife. I don't ever talk to her, but reach out to her, man. She's really good at this kind of stuff. Send her email, you know, and she'll chat with you and talk with you because, you know, I think it's good to have someone who's of the same sex who can relate and talk to you because I mean, but she's kind of cutthroat though. She's kind of, I mean, she's like, you know, she's really hardcore right. In fact, y'all would get along very well. So,
Is she involved in politics?
I'm sorry. Oh yeah, big time. I mean, she listens to all kinds of stuff. Steve Days, and she listens to Alex Jones religiously.
Oh, that's cool.
And just everyone out there. If she doesn't listen to him, I listen to him. So we have all the covers like Benny Johnson, and it just goes on and on. So, but yeah. So let everyone know, Kyra, is there anything you want to talk about into the Queen or anything else we want to talk about before we wrap this particular show up?
I didn't know that the Church of England, I didn't know the Church of England was Anglican. and not
Oh, yeah?
Catholic. Did you know that? I feel like I'm the only person that knew this.
Well, I knew King Henry VIII, and he wanted it Catholic, and I think Elizabeth kept it Protestant, and then from there is a split. I think his daughter Mary, whatever her name was, she wanted to keep it Catholic, and Elizabeth was like a distant cousin, and she said she promised she would, but she didn't, and she died, and she kept it Protestant. So, and then from there, all heck broke loose. So, I don't know much about all that. It's worth digging into, though.
Yeah, it was really interesting because I read into it. And Queen Elizabeth II was Anglican. So she's the head of the Church of England, which I think is Anglican. So that was really interesting. So yeah, just wanted to say that. You should read about that. I learned about that in my Western Civ class because I grew up thinking that England was Catholic.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I would thought too.
It's like a mix. Like Anglican, from my understanding, is a mix between Catholicism and Protestantism, which is like the coolest combinations ever. Like I want to go to an Anglican church. Like there's an Anglican church in my area that I want to go to and learn more about. But yeah, like super cool stuff. So yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, cool. Well, I guess that's a good wrap up then. So, do you want to tell everyone how they can get a hold of you? And
yes, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. My YouTube channel is Kyra Bowlby. You can also please follow me on Instagram. My Instagram is @realkyrabowlby. RealKyraBowlby. I've been banned on Twitter twice now, so you can't follow me on Twitter anymore. I'm so sorry.
You banned Twitter?
Yes, I got banned twice.
You want to talk about that?
Kyle, I don't even know what I said that got me
Dang.
banned. Like, I literally would just retweet random stuff on my freaking Twitter. And oh my goodness, I'm not even kidding. One day I log on to Twitter and it said, your account has been permanently suspended. And I'm like, for what? Like, what did I tweet? Like, I am more controversial on Instagram. Like, Instagram, I can understand why you would ban me. But Twitter, like, I wasn't even that active on Twitter.
I'm about to be banned there too, I guess. My wife is too. So, wow. So do you have a screen print of that? You should frame it.
Of me getting banned on Twitter?
Yeah. I mean, do you have that screenshot where it says it's been banned?
You can look up my Twitter right now if you want.
Oh, yeah? Okay, let's see. I might not be signed on here, so I might be able to do it on this account. Not signed on, so I don't want to sign on, but
or you can look up Real Kyra Bowlby Twitter if you want.
I'm just trying to show you social media so people can know how to subscribe to you.
Oh, epic.
That's you on So okay, you said Real Kyra Real Twitter?
Yeah, Twitter.
Yeah, I think that's you signed on to even look at it. There you are.
It happened twice.
Oh my gosh!
I didn't even know what I did to get me banned. Like, I didn't even know what I said.
You gotta frame this, man.
I'm gonna
screenshot it. I'm gonna screen print this.
Kyle,
I'm screen printing it.
I made a Twitter account 5 minutes after that account got banned. And I got banned 5 minutes later.
I'm putting it on my you don't mind, do you? Your social? Do you mind?
I don't mind. Oh my gosh.
You're like a celebrity. I mean, I want to. If I ever meet you, we come out there, whatever. You gotta. I'm not
a celebrity.
No, I mean, think of the company you are in right now.
Oh, that's true. Yes. I cannot believe I got banned on Twitter twice. Like, I just cannot believe it.
Yeah, let me give you some black hand clappings here. Let me see. You get the clappies. How do I make my skin brown? Let's see. There we go. No, that's not it.
I just, man, I cannot believe it. I was like, what?
Come on, True Social. How do you make a clap? That's incredible. I can't even. Yeah, I mean, because I got my Instagram account got totally destroyed. So
I'm surprised I haven't been banned on Instagram.
you can yell. You can yell hands. How about that? Oops, I put it twice.
One of these.
Oh, I'm doing it the wrong one. Let me clap this. It's hard when you have a microphone in front of you. There you go.
Let's go.
All right, so there you go. It's up. It's up. That's terrible. Well, I mean, it is what it is. But whatever. This show's gone to crap. So okay, so okay, so let's end it there. We finished all your credentials and.
Yeah. But make sure you guys follow me on Instagram, okay? Real Kyra Bolby. Follow me on Instagram.
Yeah, you're pretty popping over there.
Am I popular on Instagram? I haven't noticed.
I thought you were. I mean, you're what you're putting out there. I don't even know where my Instagram is. See, the thing is, I use Brave browser to do my streaming, but then I use the Mozilla to do the sharing because I'm not signing anything on the Brave, so I just don't worry about me showing up email or anything. You know, that's confidential on the Mozilla. But yeah, I see your account here. I can share this. Hold on, let me share this. Stop screen. I'm going to share. Yeah, I can do that. Share screen. This guy here. Nope, window. Brave tab. There you go. Brave tab.
Didn't even think I was gonna get 1K on Instagram.
Instagram's tough to grow, man. At one point, I think it was easy, but then they got rid of the hashtags as much and made it a little more difficult to grow. And then they don't let you do automation anymore. If you have an automated thing, then they basically block you, block your account because they feel that you're not being genuine. So I don't know. It's just difficult now. TikTok's easy to grow, but then they'll block you there in a heartbeat.
Dude, I love TikTok. TikTok is fun to make videos on. I make a lot of Christian content on TikTok, and like, I was kind of shocked by how much my videos were blowing up.
Yeah, TikTok, man, it's a lot of engagement on TikTok, man. Huge.
It's not hard to grow on TikTok, which is super interesting.
And if you want to grow on YouTube, what you do is you make those into shorts and just put them over there on YouTube verbatim. Just don't put any. The secret is pretty much make them under 30 seconds, and then you just put them out there, and you don't put anything, any like tags in there to make it look conservative.
Yeah, I've been trying to make my videos shorter too. Like my new video for ROM is like really short. It's about something stupid that AOC said. So.
Oh yes, let's talk about before we leave here. Let's talk about Red Liberty Media. You want to talk about the latest video that you just did a little bit more? It says AOC said something dumb, and you did a video about that.
Yeah, so basically AOC said that she will never win the presidency because Americans hate women, and I'm like, and so I commented something on like a news account on Instagram, and I was like, people don't want stupid women in office.
Yeah.
It went viral.
Was that on Twitter or was that on that might be where you're banned?
I was on Instagram.
Oh, okay, well you won't be on there very longer then.
I don't know. People keep telling me, they're like, you should make a second account on Instagram. And I'm like, nah, man. I'm very careful about what I post on Instagram. I don't post anything too crazy. There are some people who post a little.
Well, there you are.
Whoa, how many views does that have?
Oh, hold on, go back. Oh,
Wait.
You have the most views on Red Liberty Media. If you go
What?
outside of the man on the street, some of those are kind of big. But your last one here has like 300 views. Where is it? This one here is, where is that? Where is it? I don't see it anymore.
It's on, look at videos.
Oh, there we go. Of course. Yeah. Yeah. So 119. That's. I don't have anything over 100. Let me see. 69.
Let's go.
This one here, 160, 360, 364 there. So yeah, you're like the. I mean, the man on the street's probably most interesting. That's kind of interesting. So those get the most views, and of course, some of the more pundit people, and this are doing well. But yeah, it's. I got 97 views, my highest one. I need to do another one this week, but yeah, Red Liberty Media is a good outlet. I mean, we're independent journalists, and we try and keep things, you know, well, we have to keep it non-political. We try and keep it based to the facts and no emotion. But I think we do a good job of hitting hard points and keeping credibility at a paramount.
I cannot believe that video has over 100 views.
Yeah, that's good.
Let's go. That's so epic. That makes me really happy that people are enjoying the videos because I work hard on those. I have to chunk out certain parts of my schedule to make videos, and I'm very happy that they're doing. I mean, do you think they're doing well?
They're doing well on TikTok, doing well on Instagram. YouTube is just a hard thing to grow. I think if we put more focus into YouTube, I think it would grow further. But YouTube is it's a whole other animal. It takes a dedicated person to do it really 24/7. But yeah, I mean, if you think about it, from an analytical standpoint, it's doing very well. At 400 subscribers, you're looking to get 10% of your subscribers. So you're looking to get every video at least 40 views, and they're pretty much doing that. And so that right there means it's a healthy channel. I don't get 10% of my people on mine. I get I get 1,000 here, 2,000 there, but that's sporadic. You know, this week I had 3,000 view videos, but most of them are like 100, under 100. You know, I have 6,000 subscribers over, so I should be getting 600 views per video. I'm not doing that. So something there is not out of whack.
Freaking out on what you posted on Truth Social.
I'm sorry.
About me getting banned on Twitter.
What happened? Someone said something. Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm literally just going to respond to this beta named Thomas, and I'm going to say, cope.
There aren't too many trolls on.
Cope. We aren't complaining. That's what I'm going to say.
Oh yeah, just relax, dude.
I'm not even we're not even mad about. I'm we literally aren't even complaining about being banned on Twitter. I think it's funny that I got banned. I'm not even complaining. I just think it's funny.
Yeah, exactly. Let me see. Let me actually give a link here so you can join in. I guess if I can get the link to the YouTube channel. We're really going off the cuff here, guys.
Sorry, we don't mean to. I just.
Oh, I don't care. I mean, this live stream is supposed to be fun.
Wait, Jenny, do you have Truth Social? I don't know if I follow Jenny on Truth Social. I should, because she's one of my best friends. I don't know if she would consider me her best friend, but I consider her my best friend.
So I posted the live stream on the I said we're on a live stream laughing. Join in. Unfortunately, though, YouTube Social didn't pick up the new.
Jenny, type your @ on Truth Social and I'll follow you.
Oh, she's still chatting with us. I thought she left. I'm sorry. Oh, yeah.
Here. I don't know if I can comment, but I would comment my truth so she could follow me.
I can put it right here. Hold on. Where's that? I just had it. Yeah, people. Yeah, you can make someone mad no matter what. I'm like, dude, come on.
Dude, he literally thought we were complaining about getting banned. Like, bro, come on. We're laughing about it. I think it's funny that I got banned because I'm not that fringe. Like, I have some fringe opinions, but I'm not like that fringe. So I just thought
Must
it
have.
was funny. Wait,
Yeah. Let me see. Let me go back to where he
Jenny,
is.
I followed you on Truth. You should follow me back.
Let me put it in here. Sorry. Yeah, it's just your name, but yeah, I got banned. So I'm sorry. Sorry for cutting you off, dear Jennifer. I thought you had left. Okay, because once you said once you said that there, I didn't want to make that public. I thought you were going. So cool.
Let's go. Jenny followed me. Epic. Nice.
Cool.
All
So
right. Here, I'll tag Jenny in the thing that he was like.
I'll follow her. I don't follow very many on True Social, but I follow people on True Social if I know them and if they engage in what I'm doing. I don't do follow. You mean people say they follow you, want you to follow them back, but I'll follow you back if you pretty much are interacting and being cool. But
Jenny, I tagged you in the beta male thing so you can see it and troll him because he deserves it. I don't like beta men. Okay.
so how do I get to it? Hold on. All right. So let me pull it up on the screen here. Oops, that's the wrong one. Remove, share, screen. Oh, stop screen. Share screen, share tab. Kyra, trust. Yeah, there we go. All right. So where are you? So you shared this.
I'll
Oh,
refresh.
there she is. There she is. Thomas. Oh, that's him. Oh, one more. Oh, this is her hair? Princess
Yeah.
all right, follow her there.
Petty.
Okay, cool. And don't feel like you have to follow me back, Jennifer. I just want to. I'm getting some weird comments here, man. Okay. But tripping. It's a wild night tonight on social media. Because usually on True Social, you get all friendly people, but every now and then, not tonight. Dang. I guess True Social is growing now.
No, one of these days, Kyle, you should join one of my like live streams on Instagram.
I did last time, but
join, like talk in it with me.
Oh, yeah, I didn't want to impose. Yeah, I mean, you guys are having fun though. I mean, you guys were really like chatting it up. I'm like,
we were killing it. We were having fun.
You were crushing it. I was like,
I don't know why people like my streams, but
because they're real. I mean, it's like you're literally in a room together, and there's no holds. I mean, it's not vulgar or anything. It's not at all. It's really, really real opinions. And it's real people having real discussions without having any kind of, it's not politically correct. I'll put it that way.
Jenny, I'm so sick of you complaining. Okay, Karen.
Yeah, I'm getting it here, so I can. So who's OG? Is that your friend?
Yeah, OG Jenny G. She's my favorite. I love her so much.
Oh, I'm gonna follow her too.
Friend.
So who's the other person?
She responded and told the woman to log off.
Okay, I was trying to figure out who the players were. So Princess of Petty and Jeno are 2 of your people, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Princess of Petty is not my person. We are not friends.
Oh, I see. Oh, I'll unfollow her then. I just unfollowed her. Okay, cool. So Jennifer, is Jen here on the? Is that Jennifer that's on here? Yeah, I see it.
I don't know if she's still here. Did she leave?
No, but yeah, she is. It's OG_Jen ING.
Yeah, that's perfect. My girl. No one comes after my girl. You come after my girl, bad things happen, man.
Nice. You gotta have backup, man.
Yeah, she's my backup. You go off on me, she'll go off on you.
So why are you happy about that? Because it's funny.
Because it's funny. I don't even know what I said to get me banned. And I'm not like, I just think it's funny that I got banned. Because
Do I have to
me,
tag the live stream again?
huh?
Do I have to tag the live stream again? Actually, what I should
don't know.
do
I mean,
is,
I hope they join so then we can like troll them and get them all mad.
yeah, I'm gonna have to cut this video up and just cut that part out where I posted it and let them see it. Because it won't age well. It'll make them look like a Karen for real. Thomas D.A.
Who names? Okay.
He says conservative black man that okay. We gotta go off camera. I'm gonna read exactly the way he has it written here. Conservative black man that love my country and my God. That's not too bad grammatically. It could be some work there. Looking to take my country back. I mean, he sounds like a patriot. Some people are just sensitive, man. You know, that's all.
Maybe he should stop being so sensitive.
Yeah. He doesn't follow me. He doesn't follow me, so.
How do people find? Okay. So confused.
Tell you what, I know how you love Turning Point USA, but
I don't love Turning Point, but
I know I'm doing a tongue in cheek there, but if you were to come out to, let's say, the Amerifest in Arizona, I'm pretty sure I can get you. I'm pretty sure I can get you certified.
I mean, if you can get me a pass and I can get into the event, and if there's actually like Q&A sessions where I can ask the speakers like questions. I'm not going to be disruptive, okay? But if I go to America Fest, I want to talk to people and have productive conversations. I'm not going to like be disruptive, but
no, what I was going to try and do was get you set up with get you a pink check mark on True Social.
Let's go. Yes, please.
Yeah. I'll tell you off camera how that can happen.
Dude, I mean, if you can get me a ticket to America Fest, I will go and hang out with you. But
it's a little ways off. Well, hopefully Angel will be able to get something, but we'll see.
I don't know though, because like we'll see, but I just haven't been very interested in like attending their events for some reason.
Well, yeah, I feel you there. I was just saying, just for the pink check mark.
That would be epic.
I'll tell you off camera though how that happens.
Okay.
But so okay, well, I think we had enough fun tonight. You wanna wrap it up? Yeah, that was kind of cool, spontaneous. So, all right. Well, I want to thank Jennifer for hanging there and being the muscle in this group. And the muscle is a mafia term. Kyra's my bestie. That's cool. And True Social. And for Kyra Bowlby, thank you so much for coming on. And you've already told you how to find you. So I'm just going to end the feed. Is that all right with you?
Let's go. Go ahead.
All right. Well, don't drop off real quick. I'm gonna do the tag and then just hang out. Okay, just for a few minutes. All right, everybody. So thank you for coming on. Let me get rid of this comment because that's gonna look bad when it comes up again. I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you, and see you next time.